Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of StarCraft Inc. Now today I have something incredibly special for you. Very, very special indeed. There are a lot of players in the world of StarCraft 2, but very few are as interesting and unique to watch as SSN Funky Wise. Now, I've seen this player do some of the most bizarre things you will ever imagine a Terran player doing. Things like PF rushing his opponent's gold and supporting it with PDDs from Ravens. Things like lifting off his command center, flying it to a gold, making it a PF, and supporting it with Hellion Banshee Harass with unbelievable timing and complexity of hot swaps on buildings. Very tactical three-pronged attacks backed by triple expanding to different locations and still having more than enough resources to spill out waves of Marines to just overwhelm his opponent and keep him on the back foot the entire game. A very powerful player, part of the SSN team, one you do not want to miss, and his opponent in the bottom left is Sol, the Red Zerg, on Xel'Naga Caverns. I hope you enjoy this game. I'm enjoying myself. I am so glad to have Funky back and sending me replays. He had some computer problems for a while and wasn't able to play, but he's back in full force, and I just can't wait for this. Already we have a gas going down before even a barracks. Now the barracks does go down, and the one thing I have to say I like about this map is it's pretty balanced in terms of, you know, who can hold their expos. Mid-ground confrontation is pretty balanced. I mean, these are narrow chokes, so Zerg don't like that too much, but they do have so many options, so many alternate options for flanking and long ways around to come around behind any units that engage the watchtowers. And because of the watchtowers, he has tons of time to get vision of units approaching and set those moments up. We have very, very early Lings here engaging Funky Wise. This drone here from Sol did scout that there was no wall for Funky, and the Lings are coming in full force. Funky already looking like he is in trouble, and right away he's putting down that bunker. He's also filling this space with a supply depot to narrow the wedge, also giving him a new supply depot so he can continue to construct things like barracks. These Lings do get into the line, and Funky doing what he can here to make do. He takes down 2 Lings, losing some SCVs, and now this situation has become very difficult for Funky. He's behind in economy, but his his Marine does get into the bunker, and his SCVs are now safe. He can go back to mining whenever he feels necessary. Now, he can salvage his bunker to get it out of his line if he needs to, but right now he needs to pull himself back into this game. But as that was an extremely early pool, you will see here that his opponent does not have many harvesters and is not very far ahead. Funky is going to lift up his barracks and put it near his bunker, so that his bunker can defend that barracks. Also, there will be narrow chokes here and not allowing as many Lings to attack it. They are going for the supply depot. They want to supply block Funky as much as possible. SCV is coming in here to repair the supply depot. Very good decision. I thought he was going to attack with them. Now the Lings are trying to focus fire the mule, but they will not be able to get that down as the bunker is protecting both the mineral line and the supply depot. So this Zerg player is having trouble here but finishing Funky as a very good opening in the current situation. I mean, dealing with what he was dealing with. He did see that this was a situation he could exploit, and he's trying his best to exploit it. He's keeping Funky from mining when Funky wants to mine. We see a hidden factory coming down here in the back, and the Zerg is following up his harass with an expand, so covering his tracks quite nicely. Now just now getting the gas, and he will be going for some speed, I assume, for those Lings. Maybe Banelings, but more likely speed. This bunker here has been more than enough to defend himself, and it's exactly what Funky needed. Now he's got more than just a single Marine, and he's in good shape. And I don't think any Lings will be able to get in there, especially if they're not Banelings. But are we going to see a Baneling nest? Now we have double gas and no drone production. I'm not sure what Sol is doing. In fact, I'm really unsure of what Sol is doing. Now creating 4 drones. He's it looks like he's going into heavy macro mode. but we do see a starport coming down, and the Zerg player has no idea. We have a reactor being constructed, and that is being constructed down here on the barracks, and you can very much expect to see a hot swap from this factory to the barracks to create more Hellions at once. But Funky rarely goes for the tech lab on the Hellions to get that blue flame. That's very rarely a decision he chooses to make. Now he has been forced to show off his Hellion tech. I wouldn't say forced, but the Zerg player accidentally stumbled upon it. Looks like we saw a misclick here from FunkyWise that caused his SCVs to stop mining, but right away they get back to work and they start going to town. Now down here the Zerg player, he's doing some funny things over here. I'm not sure what the cancel was, but he is now dropping a spine crawler, a forward spine crawler, to help him defend against those Hellions. I think putting the spine crawler farther back would be a better decision, because then it has a good radius over your mineral line and can protect it better, whereas here the Hellions can very easily run by and it's not doing its job this far forward. But maybe the Zerg knows better. We do have that Baneling nest down here, and these Lings down here have, well, let's just say they're no longer Lings, they are now Banelings, and I don't think Funky is aware that those are there. In fact, I'm positive he is unaware. We are seeing a Viking come out for FunkyWise, which is not what I would have expected. I would have expected Banshees. There is a Banshee, actually, which I missed on the production tab. Here come the Banelings, and Funky doesn't know! Funky doesn't see it! The Banelings are going to smash into his line and do tremendous amounts of damage. Oh, wow. Almost annihilating Funky's entire line. Now, just a mule is going to try to pull him back into this game, and he's really going to need that mule. That, like, orbital commands, that's the only way he's climbing back into this. Hellions going forward, and as I said, Spine was not in a good position. In fact, because he's moving it, he's he doesn't have a spine at all because it's still working on getting burrowed. Oh, Jesus. Those drones line up perfectly for the Hellions to slaughter them. And there is no spine crawler back here to defend. A Banshee, as well as the Hellions, going to harass this mineral line, trading lines. As the Banelings took out Funky's line, Funky will retaliate in turn, annihilating the mineral line for Soul. Soul is not in good shape, and with this Queen against Hellions and a Banshee, I don't know what it can do. He's got a little bit of extra energy. A transfuse could go down on anything, but the Queen goes down, and no transfuse is really needed. Uh-oh, the Hellions caught in a bad position, and not going to be able to kill the Lings as he would have preferred. But another Queen out here, and that Banshee will not be able to do any more damage. But it does get out! Oh, that was so close! That Banshee gets out of here with 5 health and a lot of energy. So if Cloak ever gets researched, which is not being researched, I was going to say he would have had a lot of Cloak, but no Cloak being researched. This expansion maybe should have been started earlier, in all admittance, but Funky now taking his command center. I guess he couldn't have. You know what? I take that back. He didn't need to start that earlier simply because he didn't have a fully saturated mineral line, so there's no sense in expanding at that point. But now he's got a few more SCVs. He's got 2 mules going to work. Now is the time to make that expansion, get another orbital, and try to pull himself ahead here. He's made himself an opportunity. One Viking in here going to try to take pot shots at overlords, but now there are these Queens, and what I think is spore crawlers, definitely spore crawlers, in the mineral lines. Right where I think the original spines should have been, and those Hellions wouldn't have been able to do nearly as much damage. But the spore crawlers will deny the Banshees quite well. And this one's getting repaired by this hefty little fellow down here. And I'm not sure what we're going to see from Funky next, but you can never predict it, I'll tell you that. 2 more Hellions coming out as well as a Viking. And not much of a transition here, but we are seeing that expansion like I said before. The Soul player, the Zerg player Soul, I should say, is now trying to get resaturated, which isn't a difficult thing to do as Zerg. I suppose it is if you're trying to build military at the same time, but Soul doesn't care. He's got a ton of static defense. That's all he needs right now, as his opponent's army is mainly harassing tech. We do have a lot of Vikings, 3 Vikings and 2 Banshees. There's a lot of firepower there. If he lands those Vikings, he can kill Queens, but there's, like I said, a lot of static defense, and I don't know what this little ragtag team can do. The Vikings in the air are going to be able to long-distance snipe overlords, but they are going to get on the ground, and deal with this queen. They gotta lift up right away, or they will be dealing with lings, which they cannot deal with. He now sees the spore, wisely pulling those Vikings back. He's gonna try to focus down the spore with his banshees. Another queen comes in, and the Vikings back down on the ground to kill the queen. Being played brilliantly, but now there's a spine, and Funky sees that. He backs up just in time before losing any Vikings. And Funky's like, you know what, I've done some damage, I've irritated this Zerg. Look at all the Zerglings he's forced Soul to make, and that's exactly what Funky wants. We still have no speed for Soul yet. I'm not really sure what he intends to do. He's getting weapons 1, and finally that metabolic boost is coming. I guess he couldn't afford speed because he couldn't afford to mine gas, because he couldn't afford drones because they all got set on fire, which is bad news. Now, Hellions against non-speedlings, that is not a fair fight, and Hellions can kill an infinite amount of this. This is atrocious. Zerg players watching this, you find Soul and you hold him underwater as he is killing your race off. He is making this easy for Funky's Hellions. This must be painful. And I know I've showed a lot of videos where Zerg die horrible deaths. God, I owe the Zerg a good game. But right now, Funky is making this Zerg player look silly. Oh my gosh! He's losing his drones the same way he did last time to those Hellions, and there's not really much Soul can do about it. Now the Hellions are going to get in position to roast the Spore Crawler, which is really convenient because then his Banshees will pretty much be able to reign free. This expansion does go down. It's not even an orbital, it's a PF, which this is kind of a trademark thing for Funky. He always makes his natural PF. Now a lot of people disagree with that, but I mean it seems to work for him, and we are seeing those Ravens. Funky is the pilot of the SSN, man, always going air, and it always works for him. Lots of Banelings being morphed in here. I think the Banelings assume that this is an orbital command jam-packed with tasty SCVs, but he is incorrect. That is a planetary fortress jam-packed full of pain, and these Banelings are not going to be pleased with what they see. Oh my goodness, the splash damage from the PF cleans so many of them up. They don't even get a single SCV, and all those Banelings go down to what is a very angry building. And lots of Hellions here ready to deal with whatever comes out of this base, and Soul just cannot get saturated with the constant harass from Funky Wise. Saturated at the main, but not at his natural. Going to build 6 more drones just to try to get saturated at that natural. What I expect to see is Soul becoming mined out very quickly at the main, and only having this natural and not being able to take a third due to Funky Wise bringing on the pain, man. 2 Ravens out for him, and I'm not sure what he plans to do with those, whether it's going to be, I don't assume PDD will go down, because the only thing shooting at the air is Queens, and the Viking Banshee can take that down quite nicely. We do not have that Seeker Missile yet, but it is PDD to block the Spore Crawlers. I didn't really realize that worked, but I suppose that works. More PDD going down, making Queens and Spores useless. The Vikings get down on the ground and scare away those Queens. They can't do a thing. Banshee's gonna pick off his gas because I guess Funky doesn't want any tech coming out, but he's gonna be picking off workers. Queen goes down. That could have been transfused, but it wasn't. I think at this point the Zerg is just flustered, not even thinking straight, and this auto turret is gonna be taking down some Lings, but really, what are Lings gonna do? Hellions and Marines show up at the scene to make a fool out of those Zerglings. Even though they have speed now, this is not a good situation. Spores going down, trying to fight back, but they just can't. The PDDs make it impossible. Spine Crawler trying to go to work on those Hellions. Gonna get one! One Hellion goes down to this. It's got 3 kills, actually. I didn't realize it had so many kills. Funky Wise picking off Overlords now. What can Soul do? I don't see any way that Soul can recover from this unless he pulls out a miracle. There is a Spire here. He has, what, in production? He's got a Spire, but no air is on the way. Just Zerglings. What is going on? We have no gas. We have 1,000 gas here for the Zerg player. If he can get some Overlords out, he's got a bunch of Overlords popping now, but Vikings are going to clean those up too. Queen's popping forward. He's got auto turrets trying to take down a Queen and a Spine. Focusing that Queen. Does the Queen go down? No, the Queen does not go down. He can't finish it off. The Spore and the Queen will fend off the air as the Ravens come back for more. No, they do not. Banshees could pick off that queen, but will they make the daring endeavor? Ah, I thought they were going to. Does he lose the Raven? No, the Raven lives and still picking off. Oh, the Raven just went down to the queen. A couple more Overlords go down to the Vikings, dropping more spore crawlers, because obviously air is the issue right now. Baneling's on the ground, of course, to kill the Vikings, right? I mean, that's why I get Banelings. I think that you should be able to load Banelings into spore crawlers and launch them into the air. That would make me smile, although it would be very imbalanced, and I would cry at the same time. It would be like a happy cry. Anyway, we do see an armory coming down for FunkyWise, as well as a third base over here. Not even transforming it, which is a little bit of an odd choice. He just wants those SCVs, I guess. But whatever makes him happy, right? It's a little bit interesting. I guess Funky, I don't know what to tell you, man. He's gotten really far ahead because of his constant harass. I think when you get into harassment mode, you start to slip on the macro part of things. Anyway, he's getting the Corvid Reactor for his Ravens. He's getting Seeker Missile for his Ravens. 3 more Ravens on the way. A PF over here. I think the reason he didn't transform that right away is because he didn't have the gas for it. Now he has gas. He must have had gas. He must not have had minerals. I think he's probably mineral locked. I don't know. I'm not gonna make guesses. I did make guesses, but it's too late for guesses. We're going back to the game. More Lings crossing the field, I think, just to see what's up. Yeah, he's splitting those up now. He's gonna come in here and see what's up, and that Ling is no. That Ling is very upset with his current mission, and those two are as well. And neither of them will report home. Muta on the field now. And I'm not sure if PDD stops Muta. I'm really uncertain about that. Hopefully, for FunkyWise, it does, because I don't think he has nearly the Viking count that he needs. But like we saw, that Hunter Seeker Missile is researched now, and we did see Corvid Reactor. Hunter Seeker Missile costs a fortune though, and Muta can quite easily dodge it. They're going to come in here and harass his line, and the PF can't do a thing about it. There are no missile turrets to deny this, but we do have quite the Air Force, as well as a few Marines, that might be able to stop this. Very fast getting those missile turrets. Hopefully he can hold this. Is he going to try to engage it? He's trying to deny the missile turrets. That is Soul is, by the way. And Soul is going to snipe most of the SCVs constructing missile turrets. But no, they're going to come up here into the main and try to deal some damage. But there's already a single missile turret up here taking shots. Vikings focus firing the low health Mutas, which is very good micro by Funky, I have to say. And I think, oh, well, he was being attacked. Funky flies in with his Hellions, roasting more drones and ignoring everything that's fighting back. Just trying to get as many kills as he can, denying saturation at the natural again. And these Hellions just stroll on through. There are so many spores and not enough spines. A bunch of the Hellions go down. But you know what? All that Soul did by attacking Funky was realize how much trouble he's in by seeing the sheer number of Ravens that are on the field right now. A couple Seeker Missiles from these boys, and those, like, if any of them makes contact, these Muta are in tons of trouble. And I'm not really sure what direction this game is going to go in. Funky's got his work cut out for him to stay in the lead. I mean, this Muta ball is getting large, and like I said, they can dodge that Hunter Seeker Missile. So if the micro here from Soul is like on par with what he needs to be, he can do some damage and pull himself into this game. There are a lot of missile turrets here, and I don't think this is the proper engagement for him. Lots of Vikings and missile turrets picking off those Muta, and this is not the micro we needed to see from Soul. Right now, FunkyWise is in the lead, and I think he might stay there. Like, I haven't watched this game, guys, so this could go either way. I have a principle of not watching games before I cast them. I watch them as I cast them, and if it turns out to be a terrible game, I just don't post it. That has happened before. So if it's on my channel, I usually think it's a decent game. So here we go. He's committing to this. He's got PDD down. He's got auto turrets down, and I don't just mean a few. He's got a lot of auto turrets down. Vikings spraying the Overlords with just ouchiness. They're gonna need a band-aid. The Vikings are doing their job. Banshee's also going to work on the spores, and the PDDs are just denying everything that is trying to fight back. However, it looks like he needs a few more PDDs, which he just dropped after losing one Banshee but more Banshees are here. Yeah, there's a single Banshee, 2 Banshees here, shooting everything around as there's like a plethora. That is the new word of the day, plethora of auto turrets shooting at everything. And that includes the Vikings. Will we see a 100 Seeker Missile? I don't think any of them have enough energy. No, we don't, but we don't need it. Auto turrets everywhere, and Soul leaves the game, bringing this game into Funky's hands. Ladies and gentlemen, SSN Funky-Wise with the win. I hope you enjoyed this clusterfuck of a game. I apologize for my language, but I'm not really sorry. I'm just told to do that now. And you're watching StarCraft Inc.